Hey everybody, it's your favorite girl Onyii. First of all, 1,000 subscribers! This is wild to me. Me and my lemon trees want to thank you all from the very bottom of our plant hearts. You guys are the only reason why I do this and why I enjoy what I do. Anyway, today we are going to make this summer dress. It's really easy, but beware, there is a little bit of math to this. This dress is everything you will ever need, and it even has pockets for all your snacks. Sorry if you hear any noise in the background. My house is a little bit busy today, but this is what you're going to need: a 3.75 millimeter hook. If you don't have that, a 4 will be fine. A 5 millimeter hook, some yarn, some buttons, and of course my favorite reference shirt. This top starts off a lot like the lace tank top I did, but it's worked flat. I measured the part right underneath my breast, and with a 5 millimeter hook, that came out to be 105 chains. Then I switched to my 3.75 millimeter hook and I did 12 rows. It doesn't really matter how many rows you do here, we just need something to start off with. Now I'm going to start on the cups, and I just chained 2, and we're going to do 24 stitches of 24 half double crochets, sorry, and 24 works for me. Of course, if you need more or less, then play with that number. So now I have 24, and I'm going to chain 2. I'm going to turn, and then I'm going to do a decrease. I'm going to do 3 decreases right here. So I'm going to yarn over, go through that very first one, yarn over, go through the next one and yarn over, and go through the next one. And then I should have 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 on my hook. And then I'm going to pull through all of them, get my stitch marker, and put it into that first one. As you guys can see, the sun keeps going in and out, so the lighting is changing constantly. But anyway, so now we're finished with our first decrease, and we're going to keep half double crocheting as normal until we have 3 left. So now we have 3, and I'm going to do my decrease. 1, 2, and then right at the side right there, 3, pull through all of them, going to chain 2, and now we are just going to decrease at the end of the row only. So here we're just going to put a half double crochet, stitch marker, and then half double crochet all the way down until we have 3 left. Here's our 3, I think, yep, and then we're going to decrease. Seven, and then pull through all 3. Chain 2, and there you go. Just make sure you decrease at the end of every row, and I'll see you when we're done. And here we are. I literally decreased until I had 2 left, so I literally can't decrease anymore. And now I'm just going to cut the string, leaving a long tail, and I'm going to do the triangle on the other side. So I'm finished here as well, and now I am just going to, I don't know if I chained 1, but we're going to chain 1. Sorry, this is actually this way. But we're going to chain 1 and cut our string. and then pull through. And there you go. We have the top of our dress, and now we're going to go ahead and we're going to do the lining. In the very first place, I'm just going to reattach my yarn right here. And we're just going to chain one and do just single crochets. Okay, we're just going to do single crochets in here, and we're just going to do that. Oops, I got yarned over. Okay, there you have it. So we're just going to go into these holes and do single crochets. Try to do them evenly. I mean, there's really no method to it other than keep yarning over, and I know I'm not supposed to. Yeah, so we're just going to do single crochets, and we're just going to put those single crochets anywhere that we can. We don't want it too loose or too tight. And we're going to travel all the way around until we get back to this point. I've already done a strap, and I'm going to show you how to do the other one. And I've worn the dress and marked out where I wanted the strap to be on my back, just to make sure nothing's tipsy-turvy. I suggest you do the same. There are a lot of loose ends at this point, but just bear with it for now, or you could do the smart thing and weave in as you go, but like, girl, who has time for that? But anyway, I'm just attaching my yarn, and I'm going to pull it through and then chain one, and then this depends on your body type how many you should chain for your strap. I know I need to chain 45. That's what works for me. Play with that number and see what you need. So I have 45 right here, and I'm just going to bring it over there into that place I marked. Make sure this is not twisted. You don't want that. And I'm just going to pull through both of these. Here we go. And then after we pull through, I'm just going to go into the next one right beside it. And I'm going to do a single crochet. And now we can turn our work. And now I'm just going to single crochet in every one of those spots, all the way till I'm at the back, or the front I should say. So I definitely miscalculated. I should have done this one over, but I don't really mind, of course. And so I'm just going to go back into the other one, into the same one, and I'm just going to do my single crochet. And for here, you can see that I was way better at centering it, if you can see through all the stray yarns, but definitely way better at centering it right on top of the triangle. And with the strings, we're just going to weave in our ends, and you won't be able to see them. And that's it, you guys. We are done with the first half of our dress. Just an FYI, these flowers here are actually not just to make this shot look pretty, but so the camera has a different color other than blue to focus on, because if I focus here, everything becomes washed out. So this is much better. Anyway, so this is why I love a reference shirt, because it tells me exactly the measurements I need to do next. I mean, this is fitting basically like the shirt that I'm using. Just remember that there's going to be a little bit of some excess right here, and that's where our button band is going to be. And if you end up doing your dress tight than you would have liked, then of course you can always use a bigger button band. And of course, be wearing this as you go to make sure everything is coming out correctly. But anyway, as you can see from my reference shirt, it's time to start decreasing. And that's very easy to do. Of course, you don't have to decrease if you don't want to. I'm pretty sure I could get away without decreasing here, but I really want that form-fittingness on my dress. So I'm going to teach you how to do decreasing for anyone who wants to do it. I'm going to join my yarn right in this first place. And then I'm going to chain 2, and I'm not going to decrease on this row. I'm just going to establish a row because since we are adding new yarn, and I'm just going to go ahead and just do my half double crochets as normal throughout this row. Add your stitch marker. I'll get mine in a second. Sorry guys, I got interrupted and so I'm back, but it got really late, so I put on some lights and you can really hear those bugs, those summer bugs. I don't know what they're called, but yeah, they're really loud right now. Anyway, I think this is where I stopped, but I am at the end and I'm just going to finish this row. Okay, now I'm going to chain 2, flip my work. And now we're going to do our decrease row. So I only decrease every other row, right? So we did one full row and this is our decrease row. And I'm going to, skip this one and we're going to do 2 half double crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and pull through all of them. And that's it. That's our decrease. Super easy. And I'm just going to go to the other side as normal and make my way down. I'm back at the end again, and as you can see, I have one left, and then remember to keep your edges straight. We're going to do it on the sides, and so I'm going to do my decrease in these 2 spaces, and then go in on the side. It's a little hard to do. And then pull through all of them, and there you go. You just finished your decrease row. And this is going to be a non-decrease row, so of course I'm going to half double crochet as normal. Hey guys, so I finished with my decrease row and I really only did about 5 or 6 decrease rows. I'll make sure to count later. As you can see, it kind of like goes incline, and then I was like, that's good enough, and so I just did straight half double crochets with no decreases for the rest of the rows. That's just how I did it, and it came out to about 10, 9.5, almost 10 inches. And now I'm just going to do the ribbing on the bottom part. I really like the ribbing because it breaks up the skirt and gives it a little more dimension instead of having just a solid flat piece. So as you can see here, that's better. As you can see here, I'm going to chain 7. Actually, before I chain 7, I'm going to flip it this way and then chain 7. So 1, 2, 7, and this method's really easy. I know it's all over YouTube. I learned mine personally from Daisy Craft Farm. I'll link her tutorial down below. She goes in really good details. Anyway, so we chain 7 and we're going to do single crochets, and I'm just going to skip that first one and go in here and just do single crochets for 6, because we chained 7 and we skipped 1, so we should have 6 single crochets all the way down. I did my 6 single crochets, and I'm just going to go and put a stitch marker right here, and now I'm going to join it in the very first place. In the very first place right here, I'm just going to do a single crochet. A slip stitch. Oops, slip stitch. There you go. And then in the next, I'm going to do a slip stitch. And then I'm going to turn my work, and then I'm going to do a single crochet in the back loop only, and I've already marked it out. So I'm just going to go into that back loops. So right in here, back loops only, and do a single crochet, and then I'm going to put my stitch marker back. And then I am going to just do single crochets all the way up. Make sure there's a total of 6. Okay, I have a total of 6, and I'm going to chain 1, and same thing, I'm going to go into the back loops only, and I am going to do single crochets. So starting right here, and I'm at my stitch marker, so I know that's the last one. Put my stitch marker back in there. And then I'm going to go into the next one and do a slip stitch. And go into the next one and do a slip stitch. I'm going to turn my work. And same thing, I'm going to take off that stitch marker and I'm going to go into the back loops only. And that's really it. You're just going to keep going, chain 1, come back and do your slip stitches, and I'll see you when you're finished. So all done here, and I've worn this and it's looking really good. Just an FYI, this part should be sitting at the very top of your waist, basically the smallest part of your body, right before your body goes out into your hips. That's where it should sit. And now we're going to go on to the skirt portion of our dress, and that's really easy to do. Now the holes are basically made out for you. I just went ahead and kind of exemplified them as much as I could. But right here, you basically see all the holes that you can go into. And so to do our increase row, I'm just going to do a simple pattern of 2 half double crochets every other stitch. I hope that's correct. You'll see in a minute. So here's our first half double crochet. So the next one's going to be 2. And if you have to do 2 half double crochets every 2 stitches or whatever, you know, different variations of that, then definitely go on right ahead. So we have our, oops, you know what? Nope, that's correct. Yep, and then we're going to have our next half double crochet into the next available hole. We're going to put 2 right here. This one is definitely gone from here. I don't know where it went. So just in these holes, we're just going to be putting our half double crochets to every other stitch. And I'll definitely see you when we're done. I'm at the end, I finished, and it's looking really good. I've counted and I have 143 stitches approximately. And notice throughout this whole thing, I have not been counting my stitches. It's just an easygoing project. We're not doing any multiples or anything. We're not doing odd and even rows. Like it's just a dress. So I'm just going to chain 2, and like I said, this is our only increase row, so we're just going to do regular half double crochets throughout this whole thing, and keep doing that for however number of rows we want, because the next step is to do our buttons, but our dress has to be far enough to make sure, not buttons, I'm sorry, pockets. The next step is to do pockets, but our dress has to be at a certain length before we can start that. So I'll see you there. So I've done about 20 rows. It's about 7 inches from the ribbing, and now this is where I want to start my pockets. I want my pockets to be 25 stitches from the beginning of the dress. So I'm just going to do a single double crochets as normal all the way up to that point. Now I'm here, I'm just going to take my stitch marker out. And for my pocket, I want it to be the length of 15 stitches. Again, this is totally up to you. So once you figure out the length your pocket is going to be, we are going, which for me is 15, I'm going to just chain 15. And you have to chain very loosely, about the same width as these stitches right here. So here is going to be 1. Do you see how loose that is? We want to replicate that. That's going to be 2. I've chained my 15, and then I'm going to go into the 15th stitch. So 1 to 15, that's where my finger is. And I'm just going to put a half, making sure that's not twisted by the way. I'm just going to do a half double crochet in that 15 stitch. That's a lot better. Yeah, it may take a little time to twist and turn it, but there you go. And this is just our pocket, and we're going to do, well, the opening to our pocket, and we're going to go on the other side of our dress and do the same thing. And there you go. You have the two openings for your pockets, and now it's easy peasy. We're just going to half double crochet for as many rows as you want the length of your dress to be. Okay, we're done with that. I did it for 19 rows, and that should come up to about 6 inches away from the pocket. And now we can do the inside of the pocket. You want to turn your dress inside out, so we're working on the inside right now, and the dress end should be at the top and your ribbing should be down here, right here, right here. Here's our ribbing, just so you know the sense of direction this is turning out. It's really easy to mess it up. And what we're going to do is we're just going to start the pocket flap right here, and then we're going to work our way down. I'm going to join the yarn right here on the side, not on the first stitch, but on the side of here. And then we're going to do a half double crochet in that same place. And then we're just going to half double crochet along the pocket opening. And then I'm going to end right there on the side. So that was about 17 stitches, because remember we did one on each side, and that's perfect. And now this is the easy part. We're just going to chain two, flip it, and then we're just going to make our flap by just going back and forth with our half double crochets. It should look like this. As you can see, we have our opening here, and then we just have a flap, and we're just going to stitch it on the sides. I'll tell you exactly how to do that later. And I did it for about 11 rows and for 4.5 inches, just in case you guys want to make it the same length. You can make it shorter or longer, however you like. This is just the base. I'm going to start my button band on the very end of the triangle right here. So just at the very bottom before it goes into a straight descent, that's where I'm going to start. And I'm just going to put my yarn in, chain one, sorry for all the loose ends. And here's the sun. So we're going to chain one, and we're just going to do single crochets. I put some lamps on, so I hope this is enough light. But anyway, just to recap, we did 3 rows right here for one of our button bands, and now we're just going to start on this side, which is where the slits are going to be. So we're going to start the exact same way. The only thing different here is two things different. One, we're adding the slits. Two, you need to count how many stitches was on this side of the button band, because you need that exact same amount on this side of the button band. And for me, that was 115. Of course, it doesn't matter how many you have. It could be 110, 130, as long as you have the same exact on both sides. But anyway, we're just going to do the same thing. Start from the very bottom of that triangle right there. We're going to join our yarn. And then we're just going to do single crochets. Make sure you have the same number on both sides of the button band, and I'll see you when we're done. Hey guys, so don't mind my messy living room floor, but I just wanted to measure out my dress, and as you can see, it came out to be 26 inches starting from the button band. And now this is the part of the crocheting pattern where we're going to do the little bit of math that each of my pattern requires, but don't worry, it's not too hard. So just follow along with your own measurements. I'll just be showing you mine, where I have about, no, I don't have about, I have 115 stitches. Ooh, my pen is not. Don't mind my handwriting. And then my dress came out to be around 26 inches. And then I have 12 buttons. So I'm going to take those 26 inches and I'm going to divide it by 12, and it's going to give us 2.16 inches, and I'm going to estimate that down to 2 inches. So this number means our buttons have to be 2 inches apart. Okay, and with 115 stitches, that should work out accordingly. And now we have to go onto our dress and see how many stitches is 2 inches apart. So from here to here, 2 inches is going to be about 9 stitches. So after every 9 stitches, that's where we're going to do our buttonhole slit. And don't worry if you don't use all 12 of your buttons. That's totally okay. This dress is not using exact measurements. We're just doing a rough calculation here. So I'm at the bottom of my dress, right, because we did one row, and now we're just going to make our way back up to the top, and I'm just going to chain one, turn, and I don't want a button right at the very end, so I'm just going to single crochet 2 stitches just to get those out of the way. And then I'm just going to do one of our button slits right here. So I'm going to chain 2 very loosely. And then I'm going to go skip 2 and do a single crochet into that 3rd stitch. So 1, 2, and then a single crochet into the 3rd one. There you go. There's a slit, and then just to make sure your button can go through without too much effort, and it can, so we are good. If you're using bigger buttons, try chaining less. If you're using bigger buttons, try chaining more. If you're using smaller buttons, try chaining less. Just depends on what you want to do. So we said that each button is going to be 9 stitches apart. So we're just going to go for 9 stitches. This one counts as 1. So the next one will be 2 and 9 right there. And then we're just going to do another slit. 1, 2. We're going to go into the second one. Into the third one after skipping 2. And then do our single crochet, and that's it. So we're just going to keep repeating that, 9 in between, and then our 2 chains, and I'll see you at the top. Here we are. So I ended up only having 11 buttons, or 11 button slits that I was able to make, not 12. Again, that's totally fine. This is not precise at all. And for one more thing, I didn't have enough room to make the 9 stitches on the very last portion of my button band. So this portion is 7, and I had to end it right there, but all the other ones are 9. Again, not too bad. This is very rough measurements. But anyway, now that we're done, we are on our second row, and we have to make the third one, and that's super easy. We're just going to chain 1, we're going to turn, and we're just going to go into every stitch and make into every stitch, and we're going to just make our single crochets. So right there into the this is why it's important to chain very loosely. But there you go. So go into every single one and make a single crochet, and that will conclude our 3 rows for the button band. So I finished with the edging, and to do the straps, the tie straps, it's also pretty simple. The straps are done in parts of 2. So I'm going to reserve 2 stitches, so that would be this one and this one. I'm going to go into that first one, and I am going to join the yarn. There is a lot of joining yarn in this stitch pattern. And I'm going to chain very loosely, of course. I chained 40, and then I'm going to chain 1 more, and we're going to do single crochets all the way down. So just kind of flip back, going to that second stitch from your hook, and do single crochets all the way. Okay, I single crocheted my way back, and I was supposed to crochet it in this next stitch, but I think I'm going to change my mind and crochet it single crochet in the very same stitch that I started with. Let's see how that looks. I think that looks pretty okay. Find the area where you want the back stitch to be. I already know it's going to be right here, but figure out which way you want it, and it's going to be the same exact thing. We're going to do 40, single crochet our way back, and this time I'll definitely do it in the next stitch. And here's the tie string, pretty easy. Sewing down the pockets is really easy too. I'm just going to start here on the side. Well, that's too far. Start here on the side and stitch that so the front of the pocket stays taut, which is what I want. And then the only trick here is to just try to pick up the top stitch. Don't go all the way through your dress. So like I'm doing, only pick up the very top of the stitch. That way you can't see it from the other side. And you're just going to whatever. You're just going to attach it together. Just like that. And you're just going to go all the way across. Of course, do this with a light hand. We really don't want to see the pocket lining on your front of the dress. Sew down the buttons and tie your loose ends, and you are done. Thank you so much for crocheting this with me. This dress was so much fun. Don't forget to subscribe. If you guys have any questions or suggestions, don't be afraid to say so. I am so excited to make new patterns with you all, and again, thank you so much.